NASCAR just called two drivers to the hauler, not for a quick chat, for 17 minutes. That almost never happens, and when Shane van Gisbergen walked out, he did not stay quiet. He looked straight at the cameras and said he is not going to back down. He is not going to be threatened. This is the moment SVG breaks silence after Austin Hill's brutal warning. And what he said next changes everything about this rivalry. Let's start with what actually happened. After the incident at Chicagoland, NASCAR officials pulled both Shane van Gisbergen and Austin Hill into the hauler at Echo Park. That meeting lasted 17 minutes. In NASCAR terms, that is a long time. A quick warning takes 2 or 3 minutes. 17 minutes means NASCAR had a lot to say to both of these drivers. When SVG came out, reporters were waiting, and he did not dodge the question. He said he does not want to escalate this rivalry. Those were his exact words. He is not trying to make this bigger than it already is. But right after that, he said something that fans are still talking about. He said he is not going to back down or be threatened. Ride that again. Not going to back down. Not going to be threatened. That is not a driver trying to smooth things over. That is a driver drawing a line. SVG breaks silence, and instead of backing off, he is standing his ground. Now here is where this story gets bigger. This is not the first time SVG and Austin Hill have clashed this year. This is the 4th time. 4 incidents in the last 4 races. Think about that. Every single race, these two have had a moment. That is not bad luck. That is a pattern. And patterns in NASCAR do not go unnoticed. Not by fans, not by other drivers, and not by NASCAR officials themselves. That is exactly why NASCAR stepped in this time. 1 incident, they might let it go. 2 incidents, they might have a quiet word. But 4 times in 4 races, at some point NASCAR has to sit both drivers down and say something has to change. And that brings us to the biggest part of this story. The part that makes this rivalry different from a normal beef. Shane van Gisbergen is not just racing for pride right now. He is racing for his season. SVG is currently sitting 14th in the chase standings. He is only 30 points above the cut line. 30 points. In a chase format, that is not a safe number. That is a number that can disappear in 1 bad race, 1 bad pit stop, or 1 more incident with Austin Hill. SVG knows this. He said it himself. He admitted that he has more to lose in this rivalry than Hill does. Think about what that means. He is not just fighting for his ego. He is fighting to stay in the chase. Every point matters right now. Every clean finish matters, and every time this rivalry with Hill boils over, it puts his position on the cut line at risk. So when SVG says he does not want to escalate things, that makes sense. He cannot afford another incident. But when he says he will not back down, that also makes sense. He cannot let Austin Hill think he can push him around either. That is the tightrope SVG is walking right now. Protect his chase spot, but also protect his respect on the track. Those 2 goals do not always line up. Now let's talk about what Austin Hill said, because his side of this story adds even more weight. Hill confirmed that NASCAR told both drivers what they need to do going forward. He did not give every detail. But the fact that he confirmed NASCAR gave both drivers direct instructions tells you this was not a soft conversation. This was NASCAR laying down expectations for how these two are supposed to race each other from here on out. Think about the position NASCAR is in. They have 2 drivers who keep colliding, literally and competitively, 4 times in 4 races. If they do nothing, it could happen again, maybe even worse. If they come down too hard on one driver, it could look unfair, especially with SVG fighting for a playoff spot. So NASCAR chose the middle path. Call them both in, 17 minutes behind closed doors. Set the expectations. Send them back out. But here is the cliffhanger in all of this. A warning only works if both sides listen to it. SVG says he will not back down. Hill says NASCAR gave both of them a clear direction. Those 2 statements do not exactly match up perfectly, do they? One driver is saying he is standing firm. The other is saying NASCAR set the rules. So the real question is this. What happens the next time these 2 are racing side by side, fighting for the same piece of track? Because remember, this has already happened 4 times in 4 races. If it happens a 5th time, NASCAR cannot just call another meeting. At that point, they may have to actually penalize someone. And with SVG only 30 points above the cut line, a penalty at the wrong moment could end his chase run completely. That is why this story is not over. SVG broke his silence today. He said his piece. He said he will not be threatened. But Austin Hill has not backed down either, not based on what we know from this meeting. Both drivers walked out of that hauler with a warning in their pocket. Neither one walked out saying they were wrong. So picture the next race. Same two drivers, same tight track, same history of contact 4 times in a row. Now add NASCAR watching closely after handing down a direct warning. Every move these two make is going to be under a microscope. Will SVG hold back to protect his chase spot? Or will he race exactly the way he raced before, the way that got him called into that hauler in the first place? He already told us the answer. He said he will not back down. And that is the part that should worry Austin Hill fans and SVG fans both. Because a driver who says he will not back down usually means exactly that. He is not driving scared. He is not driving cautious just because NASCAR gave him a warning. He is going to race the same way he has all season, 30 points above the cut line or not. So here is what we are watching for. Does this rivalry actually cool off after this meeting, or was this 17-minute meeting just a pause before round 5? 4 races, 4 incidents, 1 brutal warning, and a driver who just told the world he is not backing down. SVG broke his silence today. But this story is far from finished. Remember how we started this. NASCAR called both drivers in for 17 minutes. SVG walked out and said he will not be threatened. That single moment tells you everything about where rivalry is headed next. Make sure you are subscribed because when SVG and Austin Hill line up on the same track again, you are going to want to see exactly what happens next. Kevin Harvick just sent SVG a brutal NASCAR warning, and it was not about whether the hit on Austin Hill was fair. Harvick believes Shane van Gisbergen may have proved his point at Chicagoland, but he may have created the one enemy who can ruin his season. With 7 races left and SVG only 30 points above the chase cut line, the next move could cost him everything. The latest chapter started on lap 48 at Chicagoland Speedway. Austin Hill was running 28th in the number 33 Chevrolet. Shane van Gisbergen was behind him in the number 97. They entered turns 3 and 4 while fighting through traffic. Hill moved down to block the clean air from SVG's nose. SVG drove deep into the corner. His front bumper reached Hill's left rear and Hill shot into the outside wall. Hill's race was over. But the contact did not end there. Under caution, Hill drove back toward SVG and hit the side of his car. Richard Childress Racing had already told Hill to think about the big picture. The team knew one angry move could turn a wreck into a penalty. Hill still made sure SVG knew exactly how he felt. That is why the incident became much bigger than a fight for 28th place. Hill believed the replay spoke for itself. He said people might need glasses if they could not see what happened. From his view, he entered the corner in a normal way, moved down to block SVG's air, and then saw SVG carry more speed into the turn.